So, good evening. Welcome back to another channel, another show. Tonight, I'm John, and I've got a guest on, Neil, from the Love of Paul McGrath's podcast. And thanks for coming on, my guy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks very much for asking me on.
No, absolutely fine. It's no problem. No short notice. I do apologize. I mean, we just did we're on Kev's podcast as well. He's absolutely outstanding, great Newcastle fan. So if you like the video, could you please take a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and always leave a comments in the sections down below. So it's a bit short notice, and yeah, I've got one quick one here, and I bet it's Thomas. Yes, it is. Evening, John. Evening, Thomas. You're always on my channel. He's a great guy. Tells it how like it is, and that's what we love about him. So yeah, so Paul, we are going to basically talk about your season so far. Last season, you nearly got relegated. This season, Dean Smith had to sort of brought in, make some acquisitions as well, a couple of them to make sure it doesn't ever happen again. And yeah, so how do you think your season's going? Because you seem to having a good one.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a fantastic season so far. And you know what? You call me greedy, but it probably should even be better than it is already. We've obviously came out of the traps at the start of the season. We had a fantastic first few games, first maybe 10 games or so. And since the turn of the year, really though, we've been very kind of inconsistent. We've been win in the weekend, lose during the week. So I'm kind of glad the game is going to be on a Friday, Friday this week, should I say. So that it makes it it's a bit closer to Saturday, because whenever we play on a Saturday or Sunday, we tend to get the result more often than not. And that's a running joke that we have in the Villa circles at the moment. But I think it is important. You mentioned that Dean Smith had to make a couple of changes to make sure that last season didn't happen again. And while I understand, like last season we brought in 12 players and had to essentially play a brand new team, this season we're a lot more kind of solidified and concise, because we have more of a settled team as well. Obviously, it's an under the radar thing, but having Craig Shakespeare on the sideline is very, very important. Last year it was Dean Smith, it was Richard O'Kelly, and it was John Terry. There isn't any Premier League experience there. You bring in somebody like Craig Shakespeare, who has the rags to riches. If you know what I mean by that with Leicester, he's brought Leicester from almost being relegated to the top of the table into winning it. He has that bit of experience, and he's managed in the Premier League as well, Craig Shakespeare. So I think of all the signings we made, Emi Martinez, Matty Cash, Bertrand Traore, of all those signings, Ollie Watkins, Craig Shakespeare is probably the most under the radar signing that we made all off season.
Fantastic, and it seems that you got a good setup there at the Villa. You get fantastic kits and 45,000 capacity, and the atmosphere is brilliant. I've been there a few times when Newcastle play, and the atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. It really is. I've got Kev again. Thanks again, Neil and John Linton, for joining this. Great chat. Thanks very much indeed, Joe Linton. Dave's even John, or should I say John Linton? Yeah, I'm used to it now. Just call it what you want, my guy. You know what I mean? So, listen, I'm not a Joe Linton fan by all means, but listen, they're only saying that just to have a bit of fun, but there you go. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I said, he just mentioned a couple of new players coming in. I'm very impressed with Matty Cash. I think he's excellent. Like I said to you, I was sure he should be in England in the national due case. And Traore, he looks fantastic. I like his pace, trickling skill. Jack Grealish is outstanding. Ross Barkley, another good signing, season-long loan signing. But the one I want to talk about is, I've mentioned so many times now, is Ollie Watkins. Came from Brentford, £28 million. His work rate is fantastic, scoring goals. And when he first came to the Premier League, people were saying, he's only a championship player, though. But listen, I've always got every confidence in Ollie Watkins, because I say this guy is going to make it to the top. I wish we signed Ollie Watkins, by the way, and not Joe Linton.
Yeah, look, there was a lot of eyelids kind of battered at the £28 million pound price tag, and Villa have been long-time suitors of Ollie Watkins. the 12 months previous to that, Dean Smith was looking at him. I think it was around 10, 12 million Brentford were quoting at the time. He was looking at a deal for both himself and Ben Rama. Obviously, Dean Smith would have known boys who haven't worked with him for Brentford previously. Didn't materialise either deal. We were full sure we were getting Ben Rama and Ollie Watkins would come along afterwards. But what it seemed, what we now know is that Dean Smith wanted Ollie Watkins and Ben Rama was going to come as the kind of the accompaniment to him. So when they went back for him, and obviously Ollie Watkins had decided to stay at Brentford to hone his craft, and it was a fantastic decision for both him and the club. And he's a mature player, is what I would describe him as. And one thing that I always mention about Ollie Watkins is if you see him and he misses a chance, he doesn't almost admire the fact that he missed it. And this might sound a bit cliche. He's almost annoyed at himself for missing a chance, and he goes around the field with a small bit of presence and professionalism. He's not a laugher. He's not a joker. He doesn't hold his head in his hands and make a big deal out of making a miss. But you see him, he turns around and he's gritting his teeth. He's kind of pissed off, excuse my language, at the fact that he's missed the target, and he's hit the post or the crossbar more than any other player in the top 5 European leagues this season. And he's hit it 7 times. The next closest player to him has hit it 5 times. He's been incredibly unlucky. He could be in double. He could be. He's in double figures. He's at 12 goals. Could be up near 20 goals already this season. He's been literally. I know every team has their player that gets that has the worst VAR decisions, but like Ollie Watkins has had some shockers against him as well. So he's done an awful lot right. Scoring a hat trick, obviously, against the champions in Liverpool last start of the season. Scoring 2. Like he scores his goals in bucket loads. He scores them in bundles, should I say? And then he might go a couple of games without scoring, and he's gone a couple of games without scoring for the last few games. So I'd be hoping that he would pop back up and do the business this weekend. But he's a fantastic player, and nobody's talking about the 28 million pound price tag anymore. Everybody's just talking about, is he a dark horse to get into the European squad or to the squad for Euro 2021?
I wouldn't put it past it, because I think this guy is absolutely decent. I'm a massive Ollie Watkins fan, and I got Lee Cart right here. Even Lee, to you, hope you okay. And I got Jake as well, even gents. And don't forget Neil, by the way. And I got Jake. He's got a question for you. Is Grealish fit? I mean, according to a couple of outlets, some say he is, some people he's not. And you think he is?
We haven't heard anything from the club so far, so Dean Smith hasn't mentioned anything this week on him. I'm leaning to the side that he will play this weekend. And what makes me believe that he will play is that just before the game last week, just before the Wolves game last week, Dean Smith mentioned he was back running and that the Wolves game might come a small bit too soon for him. He said he was actually even going to sit down with the medical staff, see where Jack Grealish was, and see if there was a possibility. But he said, listen, it's a very faint possibility he could play against Wolves. Now we're a week on. Maybe we might see him. Maybe he might make the bench. It would be pretty crazy to even put him on the bench. If he's not fit, you don't play him. That's my view on Jack Grealish, because, he's our talisman. He's our... Like, if you're going to come knocking on our door for Jack Grealish, you better have 100 million plus in your back pocket, because, he's one of the standout players in the Premier League this season. Not everybody's cup of tea. I will admit that. Not everybody likes him. He gets the rap for diving and stuff like that. But he's a quality player. Like, with the ball at his feet, Villa with him and Villa without him, they play two completely different styles anyway, number one. But Villa with him are a far more enticing prospect. They play a better brand of football. But Villa without him can still grind out games. And we're actually probably a better... it's funny enough, we play a 4-2-3-1 with our... 4-2-3-1 with him in the squad. And with him out of the team, we play more of a 4-3-3 or 4-1-4-1 formation. So... we do try to compact the field an awful lot more without him. But when we do play with Jack Grealish, and you'll see it if he does play, and it is no secret, I suppose really the only team that's really, really kind of nullified us this year really has been West Ham. We get the ball out to Jack Grealish as quick as possible, and he's been double marked all season, and it's only worked once against West Ham. And it was funny actually, because Villa hadn't released that he wasn't going to play against Leicester. And then Leicester started Castagne at right back and Ricardo Pereira just ahead of him at right midfield. So they were going to do the two right back tactic on Jack Grealish. And then we announced an hour beforehand that he wasn't going to play. Not that it affected the turnout in the game. They still won 2-1. But, it was obviously playing on their mind for Jack Grealish. But I obviously hope he does play. He's a great player. He is, and that's not like even taking off the Aston Villa glasses. He's kind of what we want to see. He's a throwback to an old dribbling player, to a player that can take players on. He's got all the skill in the world, and he's just something different that English football hasn't really been producing in the last few years. So I'm just delighted he's one of our own, and in Villa for Aston Villa. And you know what? I'm going to say it. Being an Irish guy, he played for us until under 21s, and I'm damn disappointed he didn't stick with Ireland, but I can understand why he's gone to play for England, and he's definitely on the plane to the Euros in the summer this year. So and I hope he goes and lights it up and becomes a player on the international stage that everybody in Villa around Villa Park hopes he can be.
Let's hope he does. Because he's a quality player, and I've no problems with him coming into the Euros as well. And we need a bit of skill with him as well. So. Yeah, I got Paul said, even lads, so okay, Paul. Jake, he's a Leeds fan, by the way. He said, like him or not, don't get the race myself. Grealish is a name changer and someone who builds a side around. If he plays Newcastle, also a result will go right down. So let's see. I think he's right. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not being funny, but we got our problems against Grealish. If he plays against Emil Kraft, I tell you what, he'll tuck him in his back pockets. Simple as that. Thomas, don't think Grealish should start. And David said, would you play any of our under-23s like Elliot Anson and hope Matty Longstaff comes back in? Do you know what this, David? I'll bring him back because at the end of the day, I've got out to lose because we've got to go down this season, so you may as well play them. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm playing them in. And, yeah, going back to Jack Grealish, I mean, for me, I think he should be player of the season because he's having an outstanding season. I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Kevin De Bruyne or Paul Pogba, but they both have the same conversations. Do you know what I mean? But... Grealish has got to be up there. I mean, do you think he'd be player of the season?
That's a hard question to answer. That's a hard question to answer honestly. Like obviously, my heart would say that he's just been so pivotal to Aston Villa's rise. Like realistically, when you're picking a player in the team or the player of the season, like it'd be very hard to look. If you were being really honest, it would be very hard to overlook someone from West Ham. Provided they stay in the position that they are. Like whatever, like Villa are getting an awful lot of good press about the coming from the basement of the league and basically challenging the top six. Don't know will we get there. We may finish 7th, 8th position, and I'd be extremely happy with that. West Ham have their eyes on the Champions League spots this season. Whether they can ride out the storm over the last 12, 13 games, I don't know. But I think Jack Grealish would be in there. I think he'd probably be nominated for Player of the Season, provided that his injury doesn't go on for much longer. But I think yourself, it'll likely go to Kevin De Bruyne, and that's just the way things go. But it's I suppose, if anything, this year and all the madness of COVID and the fact that none of us can be in the stadia and anything like that, I think a lot more people have gotten to see the amount of good players that there are in the league. So like on a Saturday, a lot of people would go to the game and they wouldn't watch any other football matches that would be on that day because they'd be at the game themselves. Whereas now you're sitting down, you're watching it on TV, and then the next match rolls on afterwards, and you sit down, and you see it, and you go, oh yeah, actually, listen, look, player X, player Y, player Z, they're good players. I might start noticing a young player like that left back that Leicester have, that young kid, I think his name was Luke Thomas or something. He's quality left back, really, really good player. You start to notice these guys, and I think the average football fan who may not have ever watched an Aston Villa game before is now actually watched one and realised and gone, wait a minute, Twitter said that Jack Grealish was overrated. I actually think he's a bit better than people think he is, because I'm actually watching him and seeing him myself. So I think in this mad world and this mad year that we've had, the appreciation of footballers from all teams, I think, has become a lot more apparent from every type of football fan. Like there's like the two Longstaffs to call on your team, and the two Longstaffs. Like I would watch them a couple of times, not an awful lot. in COVID, I've seen lots of them, and I think both of them could put on a shirt for most teams in the league. They've been really, really industrious, good midfielders, and I gladly have both of them at Aston Villa. So beforehand, I probably would have fallen into the trap of going, oh yeah, but sure. Of course, every Newcastle fan is going to think that Matty Longstaff and Sean Longstaff are going to be great, but when you get to look at them yourselves, you take off your bias of the team that you're supporting, and you kind of have to appreciate that. Listen, he's a good footballer. Patrick Bamford, he's a player. He's point in case. We love to hate Patrick Bamford in Aston Villa, in the Aston Villa circles. Before I've watched him, I've kind of gone, he's not so bad. He's actually a really good player, and he's not as big of a of a pariah as I would have probably made him out to be, judging by social media and the things that I see other people say about him. So, if anything comes out of the COVID-19 era, I think that's come out of it, a better appreciation for football in general, and other footballers. So, to answer your question, because I went off on a big rant there, John, I'm so sorry about that. I think we'll see a couple of votes for him, but I just don't think he'll win it.
You don't think it'll be Jack Grealish? Okay, you got some.
I don't think he's
you got Declan Rice there. You got
Souček.
Well, never, no one ever heard of Souček. No one at all. But Slavia Prague, and I think he's been absolutely outstanding in that midfield. And I tell you what, class that. And he'll go to a bigger club soon. Souček, I truly, truly believe that.
Yeah.
And more comments coming through. I've got Paul, Jesus H. Okay, Claire, good evening both. Hope you haven't agreed even some predictions for your game. And I said we're going to get beat, and you're going to say you're going to win, didn't you?
Yeah, I said I think we'll win 1-0 because Villa, we've been very much a 1-0 win team. A lot of people, when they look at Villa this year, they see the 7-2 against Liverpool, the 3-0 against Arsenal, 4-3 loss to Southampton, the 3-2 loss to Burnley, and people think that Villa playing really exciting games. We play an exciting games, but if we score a goal early, we shut down shop, and we rely on the Tyrone Mings, the Ezri Konzas, and the Douglas Luiz, along with our two fullbacks, to really shut down shop. And we've become very difficult to beat. There's a stat out there on who scored. They had a tweet up a couple of weeks ago. That of the 13 games we've won, we've only conceded in one of them, and that was the 7-2 against Liverpool. So it doesn't really even count conceding goals when you score 7.
Not really, no, you're absolutely right. And by the way, Claire's a Manchester United fan. She's absolutely amazing. And I'll speak to her on Twitter, and I got on me chat twice, and I do love her pieces. I think she's wonderful. And I got Paul, and he's right. I've got thumbs up him. I've got Jake, Banter's Banter. I don't think you find many Leeds fans who realistically say no to having Grealish in our squad. And Paul said Claire 2-1 to the Villa, apparently, or any fans for that matter. He's right. 3-0 to the Villa. I got Tom saying no. Claire, Paul, that's a good call. And yes, Claire. So you've been watching a bit of Newcastle United this season. I mean, I think I've got 12 people watching this live in a minute, sort of thing. I expect a lot more. But hey, please take a like on the video, and could you subscribe if you are new, if you already done so. And yeah, watch a bit of Newcastle this season. I mean, Steve Bruce, he's got a lot of stick. He's on the huge pressure, and for just over a week ago, last week, he had to go at the press. Craig Hope.
That's what he does.
He does. He had to go to the press, and for Barge, had to bust up Matt Ritchie. Bruce barged into him. Ritchie shouted him back and said, "Who are you going to tell Lee? Charlie?" Right. Steve Bruce has lost the dressing room, and you can ask anyone to be chat, anyone to be Twitter. He has lost the dressing room, right? No one want to play for him. He's lost the supporters because I want them out. I want them out. And also, he's lost the press as well. And you just said there, Sophie, you guys have a go at the press. I mean, has he had that Aston Villa? Has he had that Villa sort of thing? I presume you have,
What happened with Steve Bruce at Aston Villa is he very much came in to do a job, which was to be a championship manager and to keep up his record of getting teams promoted. I think you probably saw the writing on the wall that Aston Villa probably would have dispensed with him if he was able to get the team promoted. Now, saying that, he did preside over an Aston Villa team that had, for a portion of it, that had Tony Jaa as the chairman. Now, I wouldn't wish that in my worst enemy, because that guy was an absolute fraud. He had like there was a lot of dodgy dealings. How he passed the fit and proper person's test still remains a mystery, because he's actually since been arrested in China and things like that. So it wasn't very good. Came in, spoke really well. Fans loved him at the start, and then realized that he didn't have much more money than your average regular fan, and somehow had convinced people to spend money to buy the club for him. But that aside, Bruce came in, and I think Bruce came in and did what Bruce does, and he brought in players that were of an older vintage. We had Millie Ednack, we had Glenn Whelan, he brought in a Mohammedi, who's still around the club, which is fantastic. He brought in a lot of players of that kind of ilk, and brought in some good players as well, like Lewis Graben and players like that. But he seemed to very much want to come in and to create a kind of a more mature dressing room. And what I mean by that is that he kind of, and it's maybe even stands to reason, is he kind of doesn't get the likes of the flair players or the younger players. And that's just my view from it from the outside. So when things start happening, and when his team starts losing, and he can't turn the switch to make them into a more attacking team or a more enticing team for fans getting his back. You know, I mentioned there that when we go 1-0 up, we defend like bad. But the reason the fans like that is because when we go 1-0 up, we will still attack with the likes of Grealish or Traore or Ross Barkley through the middle, and Ollie Watkins will break his nut up front just trying to run around the place. And everything looks good. And I know it kind of sounds strange, but you know, the team looks fashionable in the way that it plays. Steve Bruce teams don't usually look very fashionable or enticing, and they're very much built around being hard to break down. And he needs to have a big striker that stays up top that they can do a lot of work and score goals. And you guys just don't have that, unfortunately, at the moment. So when he was with Aston Villa, the same thing rang true, that we just missed out on promotion. And at the time when we missed out on promotion, we found out that the club was only like 3 or 4 days away from going under. Like, we're talking Bury FC under. We're talking like the club would be expelled from the league. And the former chairman, Tony Shea, rolled the dice on the getting promoted, and it didn't happen. And then everybody got scared. And obviously there was a change in ownership, and then the rest is history from there. But the thing about Steve Bruce, as I say, is that things weren't going his way. He got a bit sulky, a bit sullen in press conferences for Aston Villa. Didn't want to answer any questions. He got a bit defensive, and that can only take you so far. When it happens once, it could be because you're having a bad time. When it happens 2-3 times in a row, it's a defense mechanism. And I was surprised when he got the Newcastle gig. I really was, to be honest with you. I know that he's a childhood fan of Newcastle, and let's call it what it is. Mike Ashley likes to bring in an older vintage manager that's more of a kind of I suppose like a father figure or a school teacher to kind of a lot of the players. He did it with the likes of Pardew. He did it with a couple of more managers. I can't think of him off the top of my head. Bar Benitez is what I'm basically trying to say. He's been a bit more conservative. He's been conservative with his managerial choices. So when he got there, he was never in my book ever going to be a 10-year manager of Newcastle. It was really just a case of, right, we'll get this guy in. If I need to get rid of him in 2 years' time, I'll get rid of him. And unfortunately, that may very well be the latest goal if we don't stop a few guys in the short term.
The thing is, as well, with Steve Bruce, he has it here. I mean, he does let the interview finish the question. He always cuts in. I think he's absolutely, he's very defensive, right, at this moment. Not only that, he looks ill, right? He looks stressed. He looks ill. I don't know if you noticed that. And I don't understand why he's still at Newcastle. If I was Steve Bruce's position now, I'd just walk. But what he's holding out for is two things. He's holding out for a $4 million payout, right? He wants to sack. But what he's trying to do as well, he's trying to deliberately play us out position so he can get himself sacked. Ashley knows this. He knows he wants to be sacked. But Ashley ain't going to do that. Do you know what I mean? But like I said earlier, he's got 2 games to get it right. If you lose to you lot on Friday and we get beat off Brighton, then believe you and me, he's going to go. Then you've got international break and he's going to take us down. I mean, Brighton's going to stay up. Fulham's going to stay up. that leaves with us. And let's be honest with you. I mean, if you ask any Newcastle fans now, right, they want him out. They want him out now because he is going to make us relegated. Graham Jones came in as part of the coaching staff against Everton. He's come out and he just he shouted at the players, tell them, get a message across, and everyone listened to Graham Jones, right? Steve Bruce was not a happy bunny. He was not a happy bunny, and he just got his nose out of a joint. And then after that, he heard absolutely nothing from Graham Jones. I'm going to read this message out quickly because I'm going to lose them. With all the top players like Wilson, ASMB out, I can't see Newcastle scoring without a pen. If British playing is 3, if not 1-0 to the Villa. Claire said, poor Aston United fan. Paul said, Claire, what do you think of Bruno after a new deal? Claire, I'm not worried. If often goes like back and forth between agents, player and club to find the right deal. I know Bruno's happy and committed to our club and think he'll sign soon. I hope he stays. I really do hope he stays at United. Okay. Claire said, Barney signs a year's extension too. My understanding is, Claire, according to reports in Argentina outlets, it could be off to Boca Juniors. I hope that is not the case. I hope he stays at United for another year. And Lisa, Ash and Bruce haven't something in common. They haven't learned that football is different a decade ago. Bruce haven't adapted to the changing style of the game. I'll comment on that one later on. John, this idea. Okay. Jay, Claire, hate to say it, as Leeds fan, I'll give my left nut for Bruno Fernandes. Ain't gonna happen. And last but not least, Paul, a minute. This idiot Bruce should have gone months ago. But going to what I said about Graham Jones, right? Coming assistant manager, I think he's done a fantastic job. Players will listen to him. I'd rather have Graham Jones taking over for the last 10 games till the end of the season to keep us up. Do you think that'd be a good move?
I think it's worth a chance. I think it's worth a shot, to be honest with you. I definitely do. I think there's nothing to be lost by it, to be honest with you. Like as you said there, you know, kind of definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting change. That is what the definition is. And Steve Bruce is a retread of a manager. He's been there, he's done it. He's never really set the world on fire. He's been fantastic in the championship. He's got lots of friends in the media who keep getting him other jobs. And you know, I don't hold any ill will to Steve Bruce. You know, for his time at Aston Villa, he went through a hard time. I think both his mother and father passed away. I think when he was Aston Villa, I seem to remember something. I'm open to correction on that. It was a really, really tough time for him, and he coached through it for Aston Villa because we were close to getting to the playoffs. But you know, as you say, from an actual performance point of view and a managerial point of view, you know, I think you're right in what you say. I think maybe a freshening up of ideas could be the difference between you guys staying up and I think you will stay up. I actually do think you will stay up, but I think it kind of needs to happen sooner rather than later. As you said, there's only 11 games left, and one of them is against us the weekend. If that doesn't go to plan, then you know you're kind of feeling around for things. Don't forget, maybe Ashley's once bitten, twice shy with the fact that he got rid of. God, it skips my mind. In 2007, he got rid of. Was it Keegan and brought in Alan Shearer for the last 9 games?
No, what happened was, I mean, Keegan resigned back in 2008 because Della was stuffed and over, basically. Yeah. So he came out the way. He brought in 2 players, Cisco from Deportivo La Coruña and Gonzalez from Valencia. And over Keegan walked away. They got Joe Clean a month later. He had to have Chris Houghton take over. He had to take over last 2 games, and then got relegated. So that's what happened. And just here as well quickly before I lose them again. Jake, so right now, look a bit like what Moyes is doing to West Ham. Keep reinforcing with quality, and you will be very hard to beat. Paul said Graham Jones is probably the mole. Fancy how we got a score, but I fancy the third game 2-1. Jay, I hope you're right. Yes, Jay. Yeah. Lee said Jones takes over and needs to be short term. He's an effective number 2, but how big of an effect he actually had. We're so woeful. We missed the opportunity to change now too late. And yeah, Paul said so many suspects, mate. There's a number of people boosted now that the club is probably huge. And yeah, probably the whole team are Moors. Yeah, going back to the previous question about the answer about all these managers sort of thing, and they all got relegated. Mike Ashley's messed up. He hasn't got a clue. Talking about I mean, I heard people say it's a great business, and I hear people crying. Yeah, he does a great business, and yeah, he point proper managers in. You let them get on with it, proper investment, right? And then we could be in Europe. But actually, all he cares about, he's just happy to stay in the Premier League. 17th position trophy. 17th trophy. That's all he wants. It's all he's about. And that is that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's and I said it before as well that Mike Ashley, like the Newcastle, unfortunately, are like, well, not unfortunately, you're a big team, you're a huge team, but unfortunately, at the moment, you know, Mike Ashley is treading water. He doesn't know from one week to the next when he actually wants to sell the club. You guys had that false dawn of the Saudi investment this last summer. I think it was this last summer that fell through. You know, that was so kind of, I'm going to say harsh in a way, because it was there, it was ready for you guys. Look, I know the fit and proper persons test and the Premier League kind of vetoed it or whatever. That's a completely different story. But I think Newcastle are at the stage whereby they just need somebody to come in that is maybe even not a businessman, that comes in that can make footballing decisions for what they are, as opposed to wondering what the financial benefit or detraction is from making them. So, like, yes, you want to have business people or football, but you can have smarts in there as well. Like, point of case, the two guys that go over Villa, Wes Edens and Nassif Swiris. Nassif Swiris is, I think, the second richest man in Africa. He's up there. His family, I think, he owns like 10 or 15% of Adidas. He's just made, I think it's like 1.2 billion from selling a portion of his airplane fleets to Bill Gates, some company Bill Gates owns. You know, this guy is dripping in money. He's one of the richest men in the world. He is very much a businessman, and he's a businessman football fan. That's how he describes himself. And then you've got Wes Edens, who's an American hedge fund. He had a hedge fund, very, very wealthy man in his own right, owns a basketball team in the NBA. I think it's the Milwaukee Bucks. And he is, between the two of them, he knows how to run a franchise. I call it a franchise because that's what, you know, that he's running an American sports franchise that makes money and pays out whoppers of contracts to players. So he's used to seeing these big 300, 400 million contracts coming in for players over a 7-8 year period for their wages. So, you know, when you've got that kind of balance of Swiris that knows football, likes football, loves football, and has bought this as a kind of a, I won't call it a retirement fund, but almost a retirement play thing. And then Wes Edens, who's come in here with a very successful background of managing a sports franchise in a tough, difficult market that isn't exactly New York or LA or Chicago or Dallas. You know, he's had to manage this very well and build the franchise itself. We could literally, we fell off the bottom of the rainbow and fell in the pot of gold. Like, to this day, I don't have I'm so lucky. And every Villa fan wakes up in the morning and just goes, please, God, don't let them lose interest. Please don't let them lose interest, because what they've done to turn around the club from the academy all the way up to the fact that even like they have Dean Smith in charge and they have faith in Dean Smith, and they stood by him through last year, and they will stand by him for a long time more as that body's getting results. We just have a nice structure. There's a lovely feeling around Villa Park, but it all comes from those two men. A guy from Egypt who may not have ever heard of Aston Villa before, and a guy from the States who may not have ever heard of Aston Villa before. But the two guys' hearts are in the right place, and they're loving the ride as we go along. You talked then about Mike Ashley, who Newcastle fan, if I'm not mistaken, and takes over the club, runs it like a business, and then everybody ends up disliking him at the end. So, you know, all the glitters isn't gold when you get fans involved. But as I said, it's important to have business people in there, but really people who understand the game of football, I suppose, a small bit more. And, you know, Ashley kind of nearly got off on the right foot with having Dennis Wise and so on in there. But maybe, you know, I won't comment too much on that because I don't know the ins and outs of it, but there's a reason that they aren't there anymore. So he never really replaced those football guys at the club. And, you know, that to me, from an outsider looking in, is probably the biggest issue that's facing Newcastle United at the moment.
Wow, I tell you, you got a cracking owners anyway, sort of thing. They put money into the club anyway, and good for them. Really good for you. So just read this comments quickly, going quick and fast as well. We need to get saved ASAP, or we need to start building for the championship. Claire's the better half of the team. Like Ashley, Charlie Barnes are not football and people, and they don't have to turn back to sport. Quite rightly so, James. David said last night he's going to get relegated. Tom said, John, has Jolan be writing today? I hope he's dropped for the game, personally. I'm not being funny, but he's been okay. But if he plays, he needs to perform. He said, wouldn't be surprised if Booster Boy was twerking in front of John Linton right now. Thanks for that. Jake Johnson, bring him up. Got Sunderland are looking for promotion for him right now. Thoughts on Bruce leading us to the Championship derby? I hope Bruce gets sacked way before that, Jake. I do not want that guy anywhere near that club. The guy finished at Newcastle. James, John, has Jolan had a cracking massage lately? And I got answer that question. Lee said Mike Ashley is a Spurs fan. And Jake, I need to educate him, bless. There's a great banter between us. I tell you what, Claire is amazing. She's absolute fun. Yeah, so I was going to say, what do you think the score's going to be on Friday against Newcastle?
I think it's going to be 1-0. Yeah, I stick to that. I think Villa are, we're sad now as it sounds, we're a 1-0 team, but I'll take that every day of the week over what we went through last season. I think it's going to be 1-0. I said it before. If Jack Grealish plays, it's a real shot in the arm for us. If Jack Grealish doesn't play, you guys really do have a chance. Like, we've dropped points to, as I said, to Burnley this year. Burnley came out and had the best performance of the season against us. It was a really, really good game. We've dropped points to Brighton. We dropped points to Brighton twice. We drew with them and lost them. Brighton really took us behind the shed when they played us. They really caught us off guard. So we're a team that tends to show up against the teams that are ahead of us. We prefer the underdog mentality, just, I suppose, really feeding off of last year. So the first goal is going to tell who's going to win this game, I think. You never know, like Newcastle get a corner the first minute. Villa have been notoriously poor defending corners at the back post. The corner could go to the back post, and who do you know? Maybe someone like Kieran Clark comes back to haunt us, and gets a nod in there. And then Villa will find it very hard to break down Newcastle. But vice versa, if Ollie Watkins pings one in from 20 yards in the first 5 minutes, I'm just not so sure that the Newcastle are going to come back and score 2 goals to win the game. So the first goal is going to be really, really important. Villa are susceptible to being to having goals scored against them in most instances, especially against teams maybe that we're expected to beat. Look, we went out against Sheffield United. We conceded to David McGoldrick, for God's sake. I know I'm from Ireland, and he did some really good stuff for the Irish football team, but he's 35 years of age, and he looked like Ibrahimovic out there, at times. But we got caught badly against Sheffield United, and we should have beaten them. So anything can really happen against this Aston Villa team on any given day. But I think my heart says 1-0. I think Villa will go all out to score an early goal, and then we'll shut up shop, hopefully, and fingers crossed we can take 3 points.
Yes, hope so. For your sake, but I'm going to say 2-0. I said on the other video, I'm sticking by that, because you just cannot create goals. We cannot score goals. We lost 3 main players up front: Wilson, ASM, and Miggy Amon as well. We lost those 3. Fabian Shea at the back as well has been playing outstanding the last couple of games. But the thing is, Steve Bruce needs to change that team up. He needs to bring in the long staffs in. What are the long staffs in? The fact, drop Hendrick. Yeah, I'll bring in Jacob Murphy in as well, play on the wing as well. Definitely play him there. Ryan Face on the other side, and hopefully Andy Carroll or Dwight Girl up front, one of the two, but they've got to play up front. But he's going to play with Joe Linton. The back 4, speaks for themselves. I'd rather play double at left back. I'll bring Manquillo in at right back. I'll drop in Craft, and Scott have to be Giselles and Clark at the back. And that's going to be like a 4-3-3 or 4-3-1-2. So, it's going to be tough for Newcastle. But all I can say is we've got to show up, because we are in a desperate position now. And we're 16th, a point above the drop zone. And if we lose this game, and then hopefully Fulham or Brighton win their game, or even Fulham get a point to Man City, or Brighton win the game at Southampton, we'll be in the bottom 3. And once again, the bottom 3, we are done, let me tell you. And it does look great. I've got Claire. I hope you guys are nice today. Oh, Claire, I hope you are right. I'm not too confident. Steve Bruce, if that's the real Steve Bruce, I doubt it very much. Right? And didn't chuck a cabbage off me heats, lads. Poor
the Villa fans threw a cabbage at him. I think it was against Sheffield Wednesday. I think somebody fired a cabbage at him from the stand. Yeah. So he never really lived that one down.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. And didn't look weird. Doing a weird. Bruce supposed to drink cabbage smoothie. And Steve Bruce, that's not all I drink. You know what? If he gets sacked, he'll be sacked tonight. But there you go. But I'm going to say 2-0 to the Villa. And I was going to say, and it's going to be tough. I was going to wrap this up because I've been told I've got to do a short stream. Normally, I'll do an hour and a half, people. So, and I've got to do a shorter one. And listen, Neil, did you enjoy coming on the show?
I did. I thoroughly did, and you know, I've got a couple of mates that are Newcastle fans as well, back from the Faustino Spria days. I think the Solano days. And I actually don't mind Newcastle. You know, as I said, there's been a lot of crossover of players. Nobby Solano is still, you know, we still revere his right foot down Villa Park as well, and his golden trumpet. So he's very, very well thought of. But I hope Newcastle stay up. I don't know any ill will to Newcastle at all. I hope you guys stay up. I just hope that you don't have your charge to safety start on Friday. The week after will be fine for me. So, but no, listen, guys, I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. And you know, above all else, get that ownership situation sorted out. And you guys, the sky's the limit, because that fan base up there is nothing short of top class. You know, fills the stadium every time. Well, when they can be in the stadium, fills the stadium every time. And all you need is just an owner that wants to bring the club forward and isn't afraid to make tough decisions. And you guys will rock it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well said. Well said. Just going to do this comments very, very quickly. John, Stephen, once I get set, I use all the comp on make me YouTube full time. Good luck. Jason, cheers, John. Cheers. Yeah. Great stream, John. Thanks so much, Paul, as always. Steve, smash that like button. I will do, boss. Steve, great stream tonight, lads. Thank you very much. Get a stream, John. See you soon. Thanks, Thomas. And last but not least, dear, great stream, John. And yeah, listen, thanks so much for coming on, my guy. And listen, let's hope we're the best team win on Friday night. And the last word goes to Man U fan. Great stream tonight, Claire. Love you lots. And you are absolutely amazing. And I still want, she's got a lovely cat called Snowy, right? And I keep saying to her, can I take him home? Can I take him home? She just said, no, can I take him home? And I do try. She keeps saying no, and she keeps saying that I'm a secret Man U fan. She's trying to get me over it. I'm sorry, but it ain't gonna happen. I've got respect for her team, but hey, I got Kev here, Sky Channel. Yeah, if you go to his Big Toon chat, his name is Kev. Check out on that. Fantastic content. Just started, and he's going to be big. He's going to be very, very big. This guy. And Kev, like I said to you earlier on, don't give up. It takes time. And where do you find you, Neil? Where do you find you on socials? And where do you find you on?
Yeah, I've started dipping my toe into the YouTube stuff. You know, us Irish guys, we're not as confident in getting in front of the TV cameras as we probably as you might probably believe. But you can find me on @LoveMcGrathPod is where you find me on Twitter. We've got our website www.fortheloveofpaulmcgrath.com. You find I've done a couple of write-ups. I'm looking at our midfield at the moment. John McGinn and Douglas Luiz. If you want to see how they play, you'll see some statistical analysis for them. We're just kind of getting that up and running as well. But yeah, listen, thanks very much, guys, for coming on. I do have a YouTube, but I don't know if anybody wants to follow it. It's you'll find us. We're the only For the Love of Paul McGrath there. But be gentle, because we don't know what we're doing on YouTube. Okay, so just be gentle with us.
No problem. I just subscribed to your channel as well, my guy, and please hope you do the same to me.
I will do.
You heard the guy, but thank you very much for coming on, Neil, and good luck to you after Friday night, obviously. But listen, it's been fantastic coming on, and I'm glad you came to the channel, and thanks for joining on.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, guys.
You're welcome. Take care now. See you later.
Bye-bye.